Shift happens, sometimes by choice, sometimes by circumstance. And when it does, you have two options. You can either cling to the life you've outgrown or step into the version of you that knows she's meant for more. I'm Gia and trauma-informed empowerment coach and founder of Radical Prioritization. Welcome to What the Shift, the podcast for women who've outgrown the life they've built and are ready to create one that finally fits. Here we get real about the shifts that change everything: identity shifts, career pivots, relationship resets, mindset breakthroughs, and learning how to finally release what's holding you back. You don't have to have it all figured out. Just be ready for what's next. It's time to shift. If you feel like life is shifting, you are in the right place. Welcome back to What the Shift. I'm your host, Gia, and today I am thrilled to introduce you to Bob Wheatley. Bob is a USA Today bestselling author, keynote speaker, and former professional athlete. His work has been featured on Way FM, Christian Nation, Focus on the Family, and various other international outlets. After graduating from the University of Southern California, Bob played 4 years of professional baseball in the Toronto Blue Jays and St. Louis Cardinals minor league systems. He's a well-respected orator and highly engaging keynote speaker, speaking to crowds of over 1,000 at venues across the country. Bob, so happy to have you join us today. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, I was looking forward to this. Let's do it.
Yeah. So I have been connected to BBG, as you know, for quite a while now. And I really believe BBG is Brand Builders Group, which we'll talk about. I really believe in what you guys stand for, helping people get clear on who they are and how they serve. So I'm really extra thrilled to have you here today and to dive into your story and the work that you do.
Well, again, I feel super blessed to come on the show with you. And as I was sharing with you off mic, off camera, I'm just so encouraged by what you are doing. You are crystal clear, on message, laser focused, and really doing good in the world. And yeah, I so appreciate everything that you have done, and also excited for you and what is to come. I know you're looking at some really cool stuff in 2026, and we're going to be right there, your chief cheerleader. So it'll be an awesome year.
Love it. Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, Brand Builders has really been instrumental in kind of building the foundation as I stepped out of my former corporate career and started my own business because, you know, there's a lot to learn and nobody's going to kind of hand you, up until now, no one's going to hand you the book and tell you how to do it. So we'll get into it. So, Bob, before we dive into the good stuff, tell us a little bit about who Bob is underneath the roles and the titles.
Yeah, so many directions I could go with this. I'd say first and foremost, I am a Christian. I'm a son of God, devout believer. I grew up in the church. I would have told you that I was a Christian for a long time, baptized in my teens, but it did not become truly a part of my life until I'd say I was 25. And I know that we're going to talk about shifts. Shift happens. We're going to talk about that on the show. My 25-year-old year, that summer of 2017, was really the biggest fork in the road, the catalyst. But to bring it back to who I am outside of the titles, I'm a son of God. I'm a brother. I'm now an uncle 2 times over. We invited a niece and a nephew into my life this summer. My family's super excited. And yeah, I'm just super grateful for everything that God has given me, whether it's good, bad, or ugly. I'm just, Jesus, take the wheel, this thing. And yeah, I know we'll dig in deeper here on the show, but that is the core part of my life, my personal brand, my outward public messaging, and my inner life as well, my relationship with him.
Incredible. Grateful for it all. I love that. So let's dive into your shifts. Bob, tell us kind of about what are some of the moments in your life where you had to shift, and what would you say, you know, what were those learnings or redirections? What did that look like for you?
Totally. I'd go to that summer of 2017. So I was a professional baseball player, as you said, for 4 years. I was drafted by the Toronto Blue Jays coming out of college, played for them for 2 years. Then I played for the St. Louis Cardinals for a little bit. And then I ended my career actually in independent professional baseball, which for those who aren't, super baseball literate, it's basically you're still a pro, you're still getting paid to play, but it's not necessarily the Yankees or the Dodgers or stuff like that. It is, quote, independent professional baseball. Long story short, I was playing for the Normal Corn Belters in Normal, Illinois. It's a real team. It's a real city. I was making $600 a month as a professional baseball player. And I eventually got released, which is the baseball language for getting fired, saying, "Hey, Bob, go home. You're not good enough. Your time is up." Of course, the Blue Jays had done that. And I thought, you know what? I feel like my best baseball is still ahead of me. I'm going to keep at this. And then sure enough, the Cardinals called me. They're like, "Hey, we want you to play for us." Like, okay, I guess I was right. Year and a half later, the Cardinals said, "Hey, Bob's time to go home. You're not good enough." And I still felt like, you know what? I just feel like my best baseball is ahead of me. Ended up signing with the normal corn belters for $600 a month. Gia, when the normal corn belters tell you you're not good enough, it's time to go home, that is the nail in the coffin. It is time. So that happened in the summer of 25. And again, I would have told you I was a Christian this entire time. I went to a Christian middle school. I went to a Christian high school. First period of the day, every day for 6 years was memorizing scripture. And
Mhm.
when you go to, I went to the University of Southern California, not necessarily a religious school per se. I went there for baseball, but I was the quote unquote Christian guy on the team. Certainly that was the case in pro ball because pro ball guys are doing pro ball things. We're, traveling the country in all these minor league cities doing what men would do. And so I always felt like I was a Christian because I cussed a little less than my teammates, but it was never super important to me until that summer of 2017, where my dreams of playing in the big leagues died. I was actually running a protein bar business at the same time. That was kind of like plan B when I was playing in the minors. So I'd have my laptop sitting in the back of the bus, fulfilling Amazon orders, shipping protein bars all over the country. That business failed that summer. And then I had been in a long-term relationship for many years, and that ended that summer in a pretty ugly way. And so it was like everything that I had envisioned, whether it was baseball, business, girl, everything was gone. And I was truly heartbroken and embarrassed and frustrated and all the emotions that you might expect. And I finally had that moment of surrender where I said, "God, here's my life. I am not a good author of my own story. I am not a good quarterback of this team. Here's my life. Here's my hopes, my dreams, my calendar, my future. Here is everything." And so that was the real shift moment where I truly believe, I mean, Jesus says in the Bible that if you love me, you will keep my commandments. And up until that point in time, that wasn't super important to me. Yeah, I had John 3:16 memorized and things like that, but it was not super important to me. If Jesus is my Lord, if he is my master, like that's servant slave wording there. Like I'm a slave of Christ. I will do whatever he tells me. I did not start living that way until the summer of 17. So it was just total fork in the road. I retired from baseball. The business was done. The relationship was done. I was now living a life prayerfully. And within 6 months, I felt like God told me to move to Nashville. Now here today, 7, 8 years later, I'm published 2 books in the last 2 years, both in the Christian nonfiction space. I've 6 different speaking events in Q4, speaking about him at Christian universities and churches and schools. It was a major shift in my life because those are things that I never wanted to do. I wanted to be a baseball player. I wanted to win the World Series. I always considered myself to be the athlete, period, full stop. That was it. And now I'm just saying, Lord, here's my life. What do you want me to be? That is a radical shift in thinking.
Incredible, incredible story. There's so much there I wanna dig into. So, let's start with the shift and, you as you say, baseball was over, your business was not doing well, you ended a long-term relationship, and you're not the first person to come on this show and tell me that everything sort of collapsed at the same time. And maybe those things happen for a reason, right? But the shift that you took in moving to Nashville and starting in a new career, what did that require of you? I know you used the word surrender, but what did that look like? What did that entail for you?
Yeah, certainly surrender. That was the first step. Maybe if that was step 1, step 0 was being in enough pain that you're willing to surrender. So
Yeah.
step 0 was feeling really hurt, feeling a lot of pain. The first real step was surrender. God, here's my life. And then what did it require? I would say, well, a couple things. Number 1, faith, believing that God is real, that God is good. It says in Hebrews chapter 11, it is impossible to please him. Uh, For it is impossible to please God without faith. Whoever would draw near to God must believe that he exists and that he rewards those who seek him. So you can say you're a faithful person, but the Bible would say, here's the prescription. You need two things to truly have faith. You need to believe that God is real and that he gives rewards. He rewards those who seek him. So, what did it require for me to really take that shift and move to Nashville and start in a new industry and write books for the first time? I had to believe, I had to have faith that God was behind it. And also that was coupled with hope. There's a part of you when you take that leap, when you quit the day job or you say yes on a first date or you're traveling your first day of vacation, there's this hope that you feel. You're like, I wonder what this could be. This is so exciting. I wonder what this is going to what's going to become of this. That in a word is hope. You're just expecting good things to happen in the future. So I had faith that God exists, that he rewards those who seek him. And as somebody who had failed pretty miserably, it was like over 3, baseball, business, girl, over. None of those had worked for me. It was easier for me to surrender my life to him because I know how the other story ends, where if I try to be the author, if I try to be the quarterback of my life, it didn't turn out great. So
Mhm.
and I would also say one thing that really helped me, like a specific verse, it says in Ephesians 2, verse 10, that we are God's handiwork, that there are good works prepared in advance for us. And so my first book was called Our Heart's Desire. I basically told the Bible through a story arc, it was a hero, a villain, a love interest. It was, if you've ever seen a Jesus in the Movies sermon series at church, I essentially did that through a book. But the way now that I look at the world, the paradigm that I see it through is really through that Ephesians 2 mindset, where you are not the author of your story. There is an actual author, God, who created you to do good works. And it's not that you're like emailing God saying, hey, God, here's my idea. Will you bless it? It's the exact opposite. God is an author who has written this book well before you existed, and you have specific gifts, talents, burdens, callings that he has prepared for you in advance. So once I had that summer of 2017, that year of surrender, it's like, God, if we're going to Ephesians 2:10 this thing, what do you want to do in me? And it just helped me to open my eyes, open my ears, and really it took a lot of pressure off, first of all, because I didn't have to
Mhm.
white knuckle my way to a World Series ring. It was just like, all right, God, you're the author. I'm a character. What are you doing in me? Help me to see that. We have good works prepared in advance for me. Help me to walk in them. And within a couple of years, I realized a talent and a passion for writing. That came first, and then a talent and a passion for speaking. And here I am today, national best-selling author, published 2 books in the last 2 years. I'm speaking on stages across the country, speaking about him. My goal of winning a World Series is purely selfish. That sounded fun. And I'd probably have all the things that come with that: money, women, whatever the goal was. Now today it's, Lord, I'm a servant. I'm a lowercase c character in your story. Just
Mhm.
tell me what's next.
Mhm. It's incredible and so relatable. I think, the fact that you talk about the white knuckling, right? I think so many of us tend to white knuckle our way through life. A lot of high achievers do have control issues as coping mechanisms. And so that concept of surrendering is so incredibly powerful, and surrendering to something bigger than yourself and recognizing that you are not the author is a really pivotal shift in not just a mindset, but how you go about living your life.
Without a
Yeah.
doubt.
Incredible.
Absolutely.
Incredible. So talk to us in the personal branding space. My listeners are a mix of entrepreneurs, corporate leaders, some people who are in the corporate space looking to become entrepreneurs. So talk to us generally about personal branding from your perspective and your expertise, and why is that so relevant in the marketplace today?
Yeah. When you hear the word branding, oftentimes that can take different minds in a million different places. When some people hear branding, they're going to think colors, or they might think about a logo or a
Yeah.
slogan. Nike, just do it. That is their brand. That's not how we define personal branding at Brand Builders Group. Super simple. In a word, what is your personal brand? It is simply your reputation. What do people think when they think about you? So
Mhm.
if you're listening to this and obviously you came to this podcast because you might be in a shift season, you're looking for motivation, inspiration, whatever it might be, you are probably in that you might be asking yourself, well, what is my reputation or what is next? What am I shifting to? So, our work is in the reputation space, it's in the personal branding space. And we always, as you know, Gia, we always tell our clients, we are here to help you find your uniqueness and exploit it in the service of others. Once we understand what your gifts, talents, passions, once we understand all of those things, that is your uniqueness. The next question is, who needs to be served? We need to exploit those gifts, talents, passions for the service of the world. That's why we do what we do. That's why you write the book. That's why you give the TED Talk. That's why you start the trauma informed coaching program to serve other people. So, yeah, in a word, what is a personal brand? It's your reputation, it's what people think about you.
Yeah, it is incredible the way Brand Builders positions it. It is very different, and I really do love the concept or the philosophy of find your uniqueness and exploit it in the service of others. I think it really encompasses the work that you do. So tell us a little bit more about, how do we find our uniqueness? What does that look like? How do we get really clear on what we do better than anyone and use that in order to serve others?
Totally. We, as you know, we at Brand Builders Group, there's 12 different parts of our curriculum when we're working with a personal brand to walk them through. All right, step 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way through, and we'll work with clients for years at a time. Like I was sharing with you before we started the podcast, I now work with Brand Builders Group. I actually started as a client. So I hired Brand Builders Group to help me with my books, with my speaking, with
Right.
things like that. So when you ask the question, all right, what does it look like to discover your uniqueness? Or if you're struggling with that, like, sure, that sounds good. That's very bumper sticker. Find your uniqueness. But how do you actually do it? That would be, it's typically the first couple weeks when somebody works with us. We call it the finding your brand DNA process. It's like if you're looking at a clock, it is hour number one. It is the first step on our journey. But if you're looking for a cheat code, this is, we call it the mirror principle. We say this all the time around our clients. You are most powerfully positioned to serve the person you once were. So if you are starting that trauma informed coaching business, if you're writing a book, if you're giving a TED talk, and you think about the things that you'll be talking about, it's probably because you went through it. Like
Mhm.
my most recent book, it came out in August. It's called Single Minded: Finding Purpose and Strength in Your Season of Singleness. I'm, as of this recording, 33, unmarried, no kids. I've always wanted to be a husband. I've always wanted to be a father, and yet it hasn't happened just yet. Still a desire of mine, certainly, but it hasn't happened. And then I look at the church today in America, and there are thousands, there are millions of people in the exact same boat that are feeling alone, isolated. Maybe they're feeling behind on life. I mentioned in the first minute of this episode that I became an uncle twice this summer. That is my younger brother having a kid, my younger sister having a kid. So I'm the oldest of three, feeling behind. What I have done in that book is I've written 30 days of encouragement to somebody who is maybe wrestling with these things the very first
Mm.
time. Because I've been thinking about this. I've been studying singleness and how an unmarried Christian would navigate that season of life. I've been studying that for years. I mean, I interviewed 82 single available Christian men in one summer just to make sure that I was on the right page with this book.
Sure.
So
Sure.
I, Bob Wheatley, am powerfully positioned to serve somebody who's 25, 26, 27, whatever it might be, that is feeling alone behind as the single Christian. I'm powerfully positioned because I've done the work. I've been through it. So you asked about how do you get there to the uniqueness? That is the cheat code. Look at past versions of you. It might be a year ago, 5 years ago, it might be 20 years ago, but you are now because you have read the books. You've listened to the podcast. You've had the conversations. You've spent the moments in prayer, and you can now serve the person that you were 10 years ago because it's the school of hard knocks. You've been through it.
Yeah.
You can help them. So it might sound
Yep.
simple, but sometimes that just helps people to unlock as they're, just waiting and just waffling for months. Like, what is my business? What is my business? What do I do? I'm all over the place. go back to the person you once were. What is the
Mhm.
book that you wish you had?
Mhm.
What is the TED Talk that you wish you heard? That's your business. That is your uniqueness.
Yeah, it's such a great point, and now that I am in the process of publishing my book, all the authors that I've spoken to as you're speaking, I'm thinking back to the conversations I've had, and pretty much everyone has said the same thing, which is this is the book I wish I had when I was in those moments, right? So it is serving the person you once were. And the other saying that I really like is, setting the elevator back down, right? Like for the people who are coming behind you after you, how do you help them along in their journey to be more educated and knowledgeable? So beautifully stated. What do you see as some of the most common mistakes that people make when building a personal brand? I know you talked about, branding isn't just logos and colors. Clearly, it's your reputation. I think some people, maybe they slap on some pictures on a LinkedIn profile, or they have a social media creator, polish it up and they say, okay, that's my personal brand. But what do you see, people kind of, what do they get right and what do they get wrong?
Yeah, I would say I've now worked with Brand Builders Group on the team for over 3 years, 3.5. And the number one mistake that we see in people that come to us, this is sort of the first coaching moment that we have to re-educate, to rejigger the mainframe and say, no, you do not need to be focused on growth. Often, like that is the mistake. People get way too focused on growth, but they don't have the right strategy. So just to paint that in color, what would growth things sound like? I need a bigger Instagram. I need more revenue streams. We're on a podcast right now. I need more podcast listeners. That is growth, growth, growth. And with a lot of different resources in the marketplace, that is their promise. We're going to grow your Instagram. We're going to help you go viral on TikTok. We're going to help you grow your email lists. Growth, growth, growth. We at Brand Builders Group, those things are nice, but we have had people who, by focusing on strategy, like what actually works, what actually sells books, what actually sells coaching programs, what
Mhm.
actually changes lives, that is being more strategic. It'd be like, you know, I will golf every once in a while. I'm not very good at all, but I can hit it far. That's like a growth mindset. I'm just bombs away. Let's do this thing. And I might play against a
Right.
70-year-old man that is just like right down the fairway. Boop, boop, boop. Like he knows how to win the game of golf. That is strategy. So I'll just share an example in my own life. When my book came out this summer, came out in mid late August. It was a top 10 USA Today bestseller. It was number eight in the country. Mel Robbins was number 11. And
Incredible.
this is not necessarily like my bragging moment. I was blown away by that because I didn't try to
You should
reinvent the
be.
wheel. I just said, all right, I'm going to copy Rory and AJ Vaden. I'm going to do everything they tell me on this book launch because I don't have a huge platform. I've not been
Right.
focused on growth. So I'm just going to do everything these guys tell me, cross my fingers and see what happens. My book was the number 8 best-selling book in the country, and I have 3,500 followers on Instagram. In one door, I could have been focused on, man, that's like a low number in the marketplace. How do I get from 3,500 to 35,000? That's going to change my life. And not really. Not really. We see a lot of authors with huge platforms that don't even come close to how
Mhm.
many books I sold. Why is that? They have the wrong strategy. They don't know how the business works. They don't know how the industry works. So you asked the most common mistake. You might be listening to this and you're a startup business and you look at your Instagram, you got 812 followers. My encouragement to you with the 812, that might be everything you need to have an awesome business. And you're like, eye roll. There's no way. It's like, no, totally. That could happen. We've had clients who have made $100,000 in 100 days because they got 10 people to sign up on their coaching program. Like, you do not need 812,000 followers. You need 10 yeses if that's your business model. So it's just helping people to, like I said, refocus and not be so hell-bent and intent on growth stuff. If that happens, that's great. But it's more about just understanding you do not need 1 million followers to make $1 million. Let's serve the community that you have in the deepest way possible and just see what happens.
Yeah, it's a great point, and it's a very common trap I think we all fall into is, the growth strategy, the growth process without having the brand strategy and the business strategy behind it. And to your point, you don't need a huge following to make an impact and be quote unquote successful in your business. I think it's a really good point, and it is a mindset shift. In terms of how we think about it. The other thing I would add is, kind of going back to what you said about finding your uniqueness and the story, like your story. One thing I noticed for me that was really hard as I went through brand DNA is there wasn't one story, right? Like I could think of the most recent story and I kind of hung on to that. But it took me a while to realize for me, it was more about the thread in my life. It was more about like, how did these stories come together and what did that give me? What unique perspective or talent or skill or knowledge or expertise did that give me that other people don't have, right? And so sometimes it's not just about the one thing, sometimes it's about the thread throughout your life and finding the right people to connect with, because I would rather have 800 of the right people than 8 million of the wrong people, right?
If you have 8 million people that are confused on what you do, that's a recipe for disaster. If you have
Right.
800
Right.
people that are like, Gia is my girl. Like this is exactly what I'm looking for. This is the person that I hope to be. That's sort of like the person I once was inverted. I want to be Gia one
Yeah.
day. That is 800 people whose lives you're changing. And I would like to believe they're probably paying you, Gia. Like they're buying books. They're seeing you come and speak. They're buying coaching programs, whatever your business model is. Now I'm talking to the listener. Just go a mile deep with your 812 people. How can you serve them on the deepest in the deepest way possible?
So, that leads me to the question of for anyone listening, Bob, who feels that tug, whether they're an entrepreneur and saying, okay, whatever I'm doing isn't working, or I need to pivot, I need to shift. Maybe they're in a corporate career and they are looking to step out, or they're just starting to build a business. That quiet knowing that they're meant for more, right? But as you and I both know, walking away from a previous version of success is extremely difficult, especially when we've invested so much in it, right? Time, effort, resources. Our identity is usually really tied and wrapped up. As a professional athlete, right? Your identity was, like you said, I'm an athlete. Um, it's so hard to walk away. So somebody who feels that nudge or that tug, what would you say to them?
Yeah. So we at Brand Builders Group believe that tug that's not just like bad sushi or something that you had last night. That is a signal from the universe where there are other people that need what you are providing. So like we're not meant to go through life alone. We're meant to be in community as human beings. We believe that tug is yes, God's calling in your life. Like there's the old saying that God has no grandchildren, he only has children. So he's speaking to you. It's the spirit saying, "Hey, maybe this is a good work that I've prepared for you. Let's have some courage. Let's step into this. I'm with you." But it's also a signal from other people saying, I need help. They are raising their hands. Is like SOS, I need your book. SOS, I need your coaching program. And so it is up
Mhm.
to us, the thought leader, the entrepreneur, the business owner, to have the courage to do that because we're all on this planet. We're doing the best that we can. Books don't write themselves. Countries don't lead themselves. Families don't lead themselves. It takes human initiative, human courage. So I would just encourage the person that's listening to this, if you're feeling the tug and maybe you've been sitting on that for a bit, maybe it's been 30 or 60
Mhm.
days, you're like, oh man, if in my most honest moments when I'm not embarrassed and nobody's judging me, I really want to do X. My encouragement to you is take a serious look at jumping at that. Take a serious look at what would it take? What would your life look like if you took the leap? Or another way of looking at it, what would your life look like if you never did? And those 60 days of fear turned into 60 years of inaction. What would that look like?
Scary.
Yeah. Yeah. This is not one of my quotes, but one thing that Rory, our co-founder, Rory Vaden, when he talks about fear, says there is no fear when the mission to serve is clear. There is no fear when the mission to serve is clear. So let's say there's a burning building. Why do people run into a burning building when it's really hot and you can get burned? You could suffocate and die. That is a dangerous thing. Why do they have no fear? Because they're coming at it from a place of service. My daughter's in there, my son's in there, my dog's in there, my neighbor is in there. There is no fear when you're in a place of service because you're not afraid of getting burned if your daughter is on the fourth floor of that building. So if you are that person going back to, yeah, I feel a tug, but I don't really know what to do with that, I would encourage you. We always tell our clients, you need to start with who, start with the person that you're serving. That's going to get you into the service mindset. Think about the daughter on the fourth floor. Start with who. It's like, she needs me. I need to, metaphorically speaking, storm into this burning building and make stuff happen. I need to start writing this book. I've told myself I wanted to be an author for 18 years and I haven't started. My challenge to you is get outside of yourself. Think about the people who need your book. That's going to be the motivation that you need to get up an hour earlier in the morning and start writing and start stacking days. That's how books get written. It's 100 days in a row of writing for an hour. That's what it'll take to finish your book. But if you come at it from a place of service, you're like, you know what? This person needs me. Then the fear just disappears because we are hardwired. I believe it's the image of God in us. We are hardwired to want to serve other people. It is more blessed to give than to receive. Tap into that. Get into service.
Yeah, I love that. I love the idea of getting outside of yourself because it's not about you, right? It's about the person you're serving. And also this concept of choose your hard, right? Taking the leap is hard, but so is also sitting on that for the rest of your life. So to your point, choose your hard. And I think it is really important to also recognize that, the nudge or the tug that comes up. I mean, people do feel, we tend to think in this binary world of I have to leave this tomorrow and do that, the next day. But no, but I think the point is like get curious with it and start exploring it. And what could that mean for you? And taking small steps. I think, breaking it down into smaller pieces, just having the conversations with the people that could provide you with insight and expertise are great ways to start too. So that's incredible advice. And Bob, just before we wrap up, I would love to know, I mean, we talked a little bit about your background and your history, but what would you say is the one shift that changed everything for you?
It's hard for me to narrow it down. Just for the sake of time, I, again, would go back to when I was 25. And there's been a number of micro shifts thereafter, changing different job opportunities, stepping more heavily into speaking and writing. But the biggest shift, now that I'm thinking out loud, without a doubt, was that summer. The shift was like pre 2017. It was a Bob focused, Bob centric, Bob led life. After that, it was God centered, God focused, God led life. That was the summer of 2017, and I am not looking back. I know what the first portion of my life felt like and how it resulted, and I'm not going back. I want to be God led, God focused. That was the shift.
So beautiful. Bob, I want to thank you so much for being on the show today, for sharing your insight, your story, and your expertise. Tell our listeners, if they are interested in learning more about you and Brand Builders Group, where can they find you?
Yeah, well, if we can, if you're cool with it, we are actually giving away our company's book. It was a number 6 New York Times bestseller this summer. I'd love to. We're giving away the audiobook completely free right now. If we could just throw that into the show notes. It's the entire book. It's not like, hey, here's a free chapter. No, it is the entire book. We're just giving it away. If we could do that, that'd be awesome. That'd be more so if somebody is like, I hadn't thought about my reputation is my brand. Like that's a new way of thinking about it. If you're kind of in a learning mode, I think that'd be a great place to start. If you've listened to this and you're like, you know what, I really want to take a good look at getting some help with my book, my TED Talk, my coaching program, whatever's next for you, let's just schedule a call on my calendar. So you can just go to freebrandcall.com/BW, like my initials, freebrandcall.com/BW. Hopefully we can throw that into the notes as well. Just make it easy. But yeah, let's just connect on a call. And we're not the best fit for everybody. That's okay. And the timing might be off. But if you are saying, hey, I need some help, this is just me. I'm now speaking as I started as a Brand Builders client. This company, Brand Builders Group, Rory and AJ Vaden have truly changed my life. There's no way I would be a number 8 USA Today bestseller without this company. So if there's any way that we can help you, if you're on mission, if you're trying to make the world a better place, let's connect on a call. Love to hear your story and see if we can help.
That sounds great. And if you are interested, reach out, set up a call with Bob to learn more. And I'll have those links, both of the links in the show notes for our listeners. Thanks everyone for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Now go make shift happen. Take care. All right, Shifter, that's a wrap on today's episode of What the Shift. But here's the thing, awareness is just the first step. The real shift happens when you decide to do something with it. So before you go back to business as usual, ask yourself, what is one thing you are done carrying? What's one shift you're ready to make? And if this episode hit home, don't keep it to yourself. Hit subscribe, leave a review, and send it to a woman who needs to hear this, because we shift together. Remember, you don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to take the next step. And I'll be right here next week, ready to shift with you. This is What the Shift, and we are just getting started.